QUISPE. You're tuned into the Backyard Conversations on the Ultra Dream Production Network. I'm from Miami, but my background's from Peru, but I've been born and raised in Miami. Things I want to try in my life. I want to try skydiving because my friend did it, and then I want to just explore more. Thankfully, because of my job, I've traveled a lot and just seeing nature. Like I've been to St. Lucia before, and just being in the mountains, seeing just being on the water and seeing just different types of like continent. I don't want to say continents, but just different atmospheres and environments. I think that was something that like really stuck with me. And whenever I travel, I just like seeing just how different people and just how would I explain it? Just how different environments are in general. Just in all around the world. So that's something I definitely want to do more in general. I don't know if there's a specific thing, just because thankfully I've seen snow. I've been to like the rainforest. I've seen like a lot of different like terrains, but I just want to see more. What there is more to the world. I sold my soul to the devil. Honestly, if it has to be probably for, I don't want to say fame necessarily, but just for resources. The resource to help. Because at the end of the day, is like for me to get to that point, it isn't gonna be really necessarily for a selfish reason. It could be selfish, and depending on the way you look at it, but I'll probably do it for my family in a way, just to make sure the people around me are right. Make sure that I have a resource to provide, rather than just do it for like, oh, I want money just because I want to get nice things. I want to do this. Like I think that's just a selfish and dumb reason to sell your soul. But I would definitely do it to make sure that even though if I'm set for damnation, at least it was at a good cause for the people around me. If I could witness one thing, if I could time travel, it would either if I had to go like back, I would want to see like DMX live, just cause like that he played such a big part of like me growing up. And my brother, he always plays CDs. So I would like to see him at Woodstock. His performance at Woodstock, I think that would be Woodstock overall. I think that's like such a cool experience. But if I had to go like a little bit more recent, I think I'd go back and I'd go see X or Juice WRLD. I think overall, group effort's necessary. That's just in general of anything, and like even looking at bigger companies on the finance or just network side, I feel like that's just collaboration. Collaboration is always needed. At the end of the day, like everything I've been thankful for is because I've networked and I've collaborated with a lot of people. As long as there's positive input. Chemistry always plays a big thing. If there's no chemistry, then the input someone might have may not be valid. I don't want to say valid, it just may not be as well taken. I've never cheated on my ex. I did. I cheated on my ex in middle school, but I don't even think that counts. It was like middle school type shit. It was kind of more like, get back type things. It was like I cheated on her with the person I was gonna end up being with afterwards. I know I probably should have broke over her instead of just figuring that out. But when you're like 12, man, you know what you're doing, dog. For me to ensure production's on schedule, I just try to make sure, regarding production world, you hire a crew to make sure things are on point. But at the end of the day, it's on you to make sure that your crew's on point. So if I hire a producer to get something, I'm still gonna be on their ass, and I'm still gonna wanna chime in with the calls and make sure that I get confirmation from whatever things we're booking. If my gaffer's doing something, I want to do a pre-light. I don't just want to leave it to the day of, unless I know myself, I'm confident that I could problem solve it. But if it's something that I feel kind of sketchy about, going back to collaboration, I'd rather go with the person I'm hiring to make sure that they get it right, so that way I could trust them 100%. At the end of the day, I always have doubt, just because you never know what happens. Like life is just life happens. Even you could be as prepared as you want to, but something's always gonna come up. Honestly, from a selfish perspective, I like head, but intimacy has always been better to me. At the end of the day, it's like I'm a pleaser, so I would rather give my significant head, before she gives me head. So that's kind of like, no, I feel like it's always been a trade-off. I feel like that's just like in a way tradition. You kind of take care of her, because as a guy, you're gonna get off regardless, bro. I haven't lied. I've always been pretty straightforward, but I don't really, if something happens during sex, I don't try to demean it. Like for example, like sometimes during intercourse, mostly happens to women when they're like in doggy, they sometimes they get like air caught in there, so sometimes it lets out like a fart or a queef. But you know, at the end of the day, it's like I've always been a jokester, so I kind of just like, you know, I kind of put it into a positive light. But at the end of the day, it's like we're all human, bro. At the end of the day, it's like no one's perfect. At the end of the day, if to get to a point of intimacy, it's really take it or leave it. And if you don't like it, bro, you know, I feel like you shouldn't just lie to someone. You know, it's either you don't say anything or you say what it is, and that's it. You know, why try to beat around the bush? You feel me? Favorite body part, to be honest, you know, growing up, I've always been a boob guy, but as I got older, I would say, you know, I like legs more. I'm a really big leg guy, you know, but overall, you know, I feel like if someone has nice skin or they just have nice teeth, you know, I feel like that's the most attractive feature. I think the most important quality regarding a film director is being able to not necessarily lead, but lead through action. You feel me? Like I've dealt with directors where they just put things together and then they just leave it onto a team and then they just take all the credit, if that makes sense. You know, I like directors who are more involved, that you know they're willing to pick up the camera, they're willing to go help make sure, you know, lighting set up correctly. You know, pretty much they they're involved. You know, they don't let things just go to waste. You know, because at the end of the day, it's like as a director, your name's on it, so why not ensure that things are done right? You know, because I met people that they get a job and then they just let their team figure it out and then they're like, all right, cool, movie. But at the end of the day, it's like, is it really though? Penguins a lot. I'm a big penguin guy. After that, I will say polar bears or pandas. And then like if I had to choose like a hardcore one, I'd say wolves. But I've always grown up liking penguins. I don't know why. Just the whole that they have like little suits. I think it's cool. Honestly, there's been a couple of times where I let myself slip up, where I feel like, you know, I get a little bit too cocky, and then when I pull up to like specifically my job, when I pull up to the shoot, you know, I might have forget one part, but I'm so into detail where I try to figure it out. So there was a time where I had a crane rental, and we didn't have the part that connects the head to the crane, and I just went into my car and I took out like a brake line, I took out a bolt, and I just made it work. You know, at the end of the days, like I've kind of grown up always being a problem solver, and yeah, I'm kind of the guy that people go to when mistakes happen. So when I make my own mistakes, I usually tend to find a solution pretty quickly. Like 9 times out of 10, I usually have a solution. I think the strangest thing a visitor has ever done in my home, I think it was I don't think I've ever had anything strange. I don't think I had anything strange happen in my home. I think I had the most disrespectful thing someone did in my house, that they just started rolling up on my crib and without telling me anything, especially like at a young age. You know, I feel like, you know, it's like you don't just pull up and just start, you know, grinding up and rolling up in someone's crib. You know, I feel like that's disrespectful. You know, I usually tend to ask, you know, even if I know this person smokes, I'd rather not do that. You know, I was raised right. You feel me? Real liking Fast and Furious a lot, but then as I got older, I kind of phased out of that. And then now that I'm older, I like a lot of Edgar Wright movies. You know, I don't want to say I like storyline movies. You know, I do like a good story, but overall, I just like something that is I like something entertaining. You know, not necessarily comedies, even though I am a very big comedy person. I just like entertaining movies. So I would say like Baby Driver, Kill Bill. I really like Lords of Dogtown. That was like a big one for me growing up. It was a big skateboarding movie. What else was there? I forgot what the movie's called. It has Jared Leto in it, but basically he's a white man that was brought into the Yakuza. I thought that was a very entertaining movie. Recently I like Bullet Train. Bullet Train was a good movie. A big guilty pleasure for me. Funny enough, so I have like really bad athlete's foot. So I like getting like pedicures, manicures, what it's called. You know, I don't get them, but I kind of do them myself. So like I have this cleaner, and I just like seeing all the dead skin come off. Like for me, it's like, all right, cool. I feel cleaner that way. You know, I think that's like a really strange guilty pleasure I have. Aside from that, I like, so when it comes to massages, I don't really like the physical like massage, like with the fingers going in. You know, that feels nice, but what I find more relaxing is like just the nails gliding on the back. I feel like that gets me right just as well regarding massage. The place I ever farted was in college, like in the middle, like I don't think it was a test, but we were in like, because the college classrooms I had, they were like regular classrooms, but then when we had like literature or script writing classes, we had like those classrooms you see in movies where they're like big and they look like a mini coliseum, and I forgot what we were doing, but it just came out of me, bro. It wasn't even a fart. So what happens is that, you know, like my body, like, it just has gases in it. When I'm digesting, it just makes a noise. And then one time it did it, and it was so loud, and people looked at me. I'm like, I did it fart. So my body, just gases in my body. And they're like, yeah, a fart. Like, no, it's not a fart. I didn't release my butt, so it's in my body. But that was probably one of the most embarrassing times. It has to be a katana, just cause, you know, I just have to keep resharpening it, and then I could just, you know, I used to play baseball, so and I'm a big Star Wars nerd, so I feel like I'm pretty good with a sword. Like if I had to make myself into like an anime character, just any fictional character, I would give my character a sword and 1911, just cause, you know, just a nice pistol. Just cause I feel like if you look at any movie that has like a main character, like they always use a pistol. They don't got like a rifle or anything. It's usually like a side character that has like a rifle, like some big gun. But the main characters, they always use pistols. So I would say a sword and a pistol. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like it'll take a couple a couple truckloads of chickens, just cause, you know, elephants, they're kind of savage, man. You know, I've been on a safari one time, and elephants, they'll fuck you up, man. They just need, chickens aren't that big, so they just need to swing their trunks around, and they'll just be eating these shits, and then they just gotta crush them. And also, like, I feel like a chicken, their beaks wouldn't do anything. You know, elephant skin's so tough. Like, nah, bro. I don't know. I feel like it'll be a good. I feel like you'll get bored watching it, and then you'll start pitying the chickens before anything happens. Honestly, if I won $1 million, I really want to know. I know what I would do, but I wouldn't know. Like, if I had to explain the whole amount, I wouldn't know. Because I always tell people, you don't even need $1 million. You just need $500,000 to change your life. So, like, I'll pay off my debt. I'll buy a crib, buy me a brand new car, just because I can have a nice, reliable car. And basically, I'll just buy me the essentials, and then just save the rest for the bills throughout the year. Because I feel like a lot of people, when they're gifted a lot of money, their first instinct is to go buy the most expensive thing they can. You know, I don't want a big house. I don't want a mansion. I don't like mansions. I freaking hate mansions. I like shooting in them for work, but I just hate. I feel like there's too much maintenance. At the end of the day, people, they don't really think about the after. How are they gonna maintain it? You know, you get a big property, you gotta pay a lot of property tax. So I'll probably get me like a nice 3 to 4 bedroom house with a garage, and then get me like a nice property, just so I could throw. I like throwing barbecues. I don't like going out, so I like having my friends come over, enough for parking, and get me a nice car. You know, probably get me like an Audi, and yeah, man, that's about it. Really, you know, I really want to know what I would do with the rest. I'll probably, you know, take care of my people. You know, reinvest in my business, invest in people around me that I feel like they could do more. They just don't. You know, working class is hard, so I'd rather try to, you know, help however I can, while also investing in different types of incomes, you know. I believe aliens exist because I'm agnostic, so I believe, you know, I don't talk down religion, because I think it's dumb to not believe that there's no higher power, but I don't know what that higher power could be. You know, it could be aliens, so that's why I can't knock down aliens. You know, because I also believe in cryptids, so I believe in like the chupacabra, Bigfoot, all that stuff. You know, I believe in like, not necessarily those things, but I believe that there's different types of species that we don't necessarily know. So why couldn't there be aliens? Plus, at the end of the day, is like, if on just planet Earth, majority of it is water, and I believe like 90% of the ocean is unexplored. And then if you look on the bigger spectrum, we're just this tiny pebble in like a big universe. So for all we know, there's aliens, bro. I don't know. I want to give myself like a good take, but I really don't know. Mostly because, I'm not gonna lie, it depends who I have around me. If I have people that are gonna hold me back, I feel like I'm not really gonna know my character until I'm put in that position. Like, if I got a homeboy who's slow, it's either gonna be like, look, man, I'm sorry, or I'm gonna try. I'm probably gonna die helping your dumbass. So I really don't know. I feel like it just depends where I'm at. Like if I'm downtown, I'm stuck. You know, I'm like traffic sucks with people being normal. So if people aren't zombies, you know, just gonna be how the fuck am I gonna leave Brickell if I'm downtown, bro? Like I can't do that. If I'm in Broward, I feel like I have a better chance. But I really don't know, bro. I want to say maybe at least I can at least survive a month, but after that, you know, I still gotta get food, bro. I got high cholesterol, so I can't really eat that much food. Yo, if I have a fat friend, I ain't gonna lie, I would try to not be around them. Just cause like I'm gonna be like, look, man, you my boy, but if anything, I'll probably make him a getaway driver. You know, I'll keep him to the side, and then like we get a vehicle, I'll keep him always in that vehicle, and be like, look, stay here. You will alert us, but I don't want to get caught. I'm very big on choosing who my team is. So if I'm in a like zombie apocalypse, I feel like I'm gonna be more picky. You know, because now it's like it's literally life or death. So if I could know the truth, I would want to know who shot JFK. I want to know who shot JFK just because that or damn. Honestly, nah. I want to know what's in Area 51. That's it. I just want to know what's in Area 51. That's it. That's all I want to know. I feel like that alone will answer. Well, it'll give me more results to many more questions just knowing what's going on there. If animals could talk, I feel like cats would be the rudest. Just because my girlfriend got a cat, I love that cat, bro. But it just be easing me, bro. And like I could just tell, like today I woke up and then I look down and I just see her looking at me and I'm like, bro, what do you want? And she's just there, like just meowing at me, wanting to get fed. And I feel like cats are spoiled. Damn, cereal soup? That's such a good question because that's like saying is ice cream a soup? Because when it melts. But honestly, no, I wouldn't say cereal is a soup because cereal itself, you could eat cereal without milk. So I don't think so. Yeah. My directing style, honestly, I'm very picky. So I can either go very abstract art just because I grew up watching anime. I like a lot of K-pop videos. But overall, I like aesthetics. You know, like I like a lot of boom bap. That's just I don't know what it is. My editing style is very boom bap-ish. You know, I don't like editing anything slow, but I'd rather execute aesthetics over a story. You know, stories are great, but you know when it comes to abstract art, there's no story. Dude. You just get all these sceneries. So if I want to do something where it's a bedroom but it's in the middle of the field, I'll go do that. If I want to do something in a warehouse where I'm doing like crazy lighting with nice cars, you know, I'm gonna be very selective on those cars. I don't want no scat packs on it. I want like really old Chargers, you know, like somebody like 69 Mustang, stuff like that. You know, I want like something that sticks out. You know, I'm very big on aesthetics. I feel like this was a character thing. You know, I feel like I feel like both sides they try to justify it. You know, I wouldn't want to say yes or no. I feel like women don't want to be as wrong as men don't want to be wrong, because men always want to be right, but women don't want to be wrong. If that makes sense, you know. So I feel like it's just a character thing at the end of the day. You know, I don't like being around people who can't hold themselves accountable in general. You know, I hold myself accountable, so I expect people around me to do the same. There was a time where my homeboy brought me on as a DP, and the producer. Funny enough, I kind of figured because I worked with this producer before, and things didn't run as smoothly, yeah, smoothly, and pretty much. I was like, you know, I'm giving him benefit of the doubt. This dude's been working with this producer for a while. Maybe, you know, he respects him a little bit more. I'll work with him. It was just very strictly business. And now, bro, like literally we pulled up. He had this big old set. We basically had to light up this set the size of like Family Feud with like 2 lights. And I had to call in favors because I was like, damn, man, you know, really, I'm like, I don't want to do anything because at the end of the day, it's like I'm here just to shoot. And I don't want this producer or anything, but my boy's name was on it. And I was like, I'm not the type of guy to let my friends fail. So I called in favors, brought some lights. I made it work, bro. Like the camera he got was all outdated too. It took literally 20 minutes to start up. He only had 1 lens, and then he had like a stabilizer, and the camera wouldn't even fit on the stabilizer. I'm like, yo, you spent all this money for all this stuff, and these clients they came from Cali, I believe. Like there were some pretty big clients, and like the manager was like he worked for like French Montana, so there was some it was a pretty big budget name, you know. Well, I don't want to say they were a big name because they're not on Billboard or anything. But it was I could tell it was like a lot of money on the line, and this producer really cut corners. And at the end of the day, it's like I could just let this guy crash and burn, but my homeboy's name was on it, so I'm not the type of person that my friends, so I just made it work. At the end of the day, the director, the main director that came into town, that was in charge of everything, like when we got acquainted, to this day hits me up. So whenever I go to Cali, I'm good. So at the end of the day, I kind of look at it this way, when one door closes, another one opens. So I'm like, I don't want to work with this producer that has solidified it. I don't want to deal with these type of environments, but that if anything, that reassured me that I could like really pull things out my ass to like make it work. I love languages. Honestly, I like it's physical touch and also words of affirmation. Just because at the end of the day, it's like I'm very big on telling my significant I love you. Just because honestly, I will say it's just childhood trauma. Like my parents never told me I love you, boo-hoo. But I try to make sure that I tell the people around me, like, look, man, I have love for you, and I'm gonna let you know, like, look, I appreciate you. My significant, I tell her I love her a lot, and that's something that like she actually has to like, she kind of got used to, because that's something that she didn't grow up with as much either, and that's just her personality. But at the end of the day, it's like the bare minimum for me is like I'm not asking for you to like go give me a massage all the time, but literally just like just come, be close to me, stuff like that. Tell me that you appreciate me. It's just small stuff. At the end of the day, it's like I just like just any form of affection that's in the way of appreciation. If I was given a $10 million project, like budget to do a project, I would try to, even though I told myself I wouldn't try to get into it, I feel like that's enough money to try to at least get my foot into it. I would try to get at least film something to pitch, because I always wanted to do like my own. I want to do my own like superhero in a way. I want to make an anti-hero, and then I want to make a superhero. And I don't want to talk about this because it's my idea, but I would try to like make at least a startup. Shows that they try to make a pilot for a show. I want to make just a film. Because I feel like I just have ideas sometimes, and I don't really think too much on them. I don't have too many, but I feel like once I have one, I do try my best to get onto that one. So I would try to probably make my own superhero movie. At least try to get the startup to go pitch it at least. If I feel like my cinematographer wasn't getting my vision right, I feel like that would bother me more. I feel like that would be my biggest pet peeve, because at the end of the day, it's like I'm first and foremost for a director. I'm a cinematographer myself, so I'm very big on communication. So if I go through all this effort to communicate with you, give you references, more than likely I'm giving you the best references. If anything, my cinematographer is probably gonna be a cam op. I'm telling you, like, look, man, I'm gonna do this. I'm on this millimeter. I'll give you a reference, an idea. Literally, just I'm giving you the blueprint. Just do the motion, pretty much. But if you're not doing that, then I'm probably gonna get pissed, and I'm probably gonna pull aside like, yo, man. Actually, not even. I'm probably just gonna take over. I have a habit of taking over when things don't go my way, which is also why I'm very picky when I want to direct. So I'll probably just take over. Like if they're strapped up, be like, all right, cool, get them, take 5. I'm gonna go strap up and just do it myself, and let them do tripod. I'd say I like on the outside I handle stress pretty well. On the inside, I get really pissed off. I tend to like either get really quiet and then go into like the zone. I get really driven. But overall, I feel like for me to get stressed on set at this point also is because I'm surrounded by people where it's not even they don't know what they're doing. Because sometimes, I can't help it. Some people, they're not as experienced. At the end of the day, it's like we all have different types of experience. And what I do at the end of the day is really who you get to work with on set sometimes. It's really like playing a lottery. So I can't really get too mad on that. But, if I feel like if this person is making me look bad, I'm gonna try to pick up that slack, and that's kind of like what I've always done throughout my whole film career. I feel like I always had to pick up slack, and that's not a bad thing. Sometimes, like I said, it's just experience. But I at this point I feel like I handle stress on the outside really well, but on the inside I'm just yelling the whole time. Yeah, I would say I've been fortunate enough to lately to I've been on sets where it's normally at least 5 people, but I've been on sets where we've had like 12 to 14 people, and and that's really if the budget's fortunate. Most of the time they're with our clients are women, because they have a little bit more attention to detail, so they have a assistant that runs around for them. They have a makeup artist, they have someone that's coming to do their hair, install a wig, whatever, and then they have a driver, and then we have camera teams, usually 3 people. We have an on-site editor. We have either 2 to 3 people on lighting team. You have the director themselves, a producer, BTS photographer, video. Like yeah, like I've been on. Actually, I would say like it's been pretty big sets. I've fortunate enough to be on. You know, at the end of the day, I feel like those sets are really what make and break you, because now that there's more people, there's more money, and there's usually, you know, when we get a bigger crew is because we have less time. We're trying to be more as most efficient as we can. So I feel like that's where the stress levels get really more high, because the communication is really big. Because one miscommunication by just the producer, not the makeup artist, not telling the producer an ideal time of like, say the client has to switch wigs, you know, and it takes time. You know, we have to make sure that we set our shots according to the wig installs, because we can't just go blue hair and then go straight to the red hair, but then we can't just go back to the blue hair. We might as well knock out all the scenes with the blue hair or the red hair first, whichever is more convenient. So I feel like, you know, bigger crews require way more communication. I feel like it's appropriate to ask an actor to redo it. You know, me, I'm pretty big on. I would say I'm pretty good at communicating with my talent. So like even if I know they did a good job, and I just want them to do it again, I'm like, yo, that was great. Just do one more for safety. And most of the time they're pretty good with it. But if they're doing a bad job, I kind of just tend to not break them down like you're doing terrible. Like no, I tend to be like, look, let's take a break. You know, try to do this. You know, I rather try to step in front, because at the end of the day, it's like you can't just tell someone what to do. Sometimes you have to like help mimic them, you know, and just help them get into the zone, you know, because at the end of the day, it's like no one likes being in front of camera. It's never easy, you know, especially when you're working with newer actors. You know, you just got to figure it out. But overall, I say I try to handle it as best as I can, because if I try to if I try to demean this person because I don't feel like they're doing a good job, you know, that's not gonna help me either, because now they're gonna have that in their head. I'm just gonna kill their energy. So I would try to just approach it like as best as I can, to where it's like, hey, you know, like you could do it better, rather than like, yo, you suck. No, I don't think that's a good way to do anything. I don't think anyone wants to be told that regarding their job. I feel like when it comes to like relationships in like today, I feel like it's becoming very. I don't even want to say materialistic. I feel like there are ideals that are being brought on, not even from people, but just from social media. I feel like people are turning to social media really more for relationship advice, and that's what really brings in the materialism. You know, like just people. You know, like if you want to talk about women who like they only want to date guys for money, you know, look at who they're following on online. You know, they're probably following someone who they're getting spoiled. But even that alone, you know, depends how they go about it. You know, like if they see like Kendall Jenner getting like some big expensive bag and she just says, oh, as you should, they're gonna have that same mentality. You know, but also at the end of the day, you know, regarding social media, you know, even with guys, you know, like I feel like guys, they get. I personally deal with a lot of insecure guys that come at me for no reason, just because I'm nice with people. But you know, I feel like, you know, in a guy perspective, if they see that their women are they tend to lust over, or they just feel more comfortable with men who they're able to provide something, you know, they get insecure, and then that leads to problems with relationships. And at the end of the day, it's like the biggest flaw with social media is that if you're getting your relationship advice from looking at people and just looking at ideologies from social media doesn't portray, you know, everything. You know, you don't see like maybe this couple has a really good relationship, and maybe you see all these things and you're getting all these tropes from them, but what you don't see behind the scenes is, you know, the negatives that they go through, you know, which doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, you know, like domestic abuse or anything. It could just be like, you know, maybe, you know, the girl that's getting spoiled, maybe that guy, you know, he doesn't spoil her all the time, you know, she just posts when he does, because she knows that he works hard for it. So, you know, like maybe it's 70-30, you know, like the whole percentages, you know. I personally, I try to do 70-30, just because at the end of the day, is like, you know, I try to take care of my woman. I don't like anyone telling me that, you know, like you can't do that. You know, I also don't believe, you know, a man should be completely in charge of a woman, because at the end of the day, it's like you're with someone. You're not with a child. You know, you're not responsible to take care of someone. You know, at the end of the day, it's like what I look for in a partner is some sort of independence, because it's like I could take care of you as much as I can, but if something happens to me, God forbid, you know, I want to make sure you're good, not even just for your sake, but just for our kid's sake, you know. If we have a kid, you know, I want to make sure you could do something. And I feel like, you know, people looking at this whole social media thing, they feel like a woman should be doing this, a man should be doing this, but then they don't think about the long run because they're so focused on the you should be doing this right now that they don't think about tomorrow. Honestly, for right now, I had an idea for the future. I would say what I've kept from my past ideas is that I still want to be a teacher when I retire. Just because I was gonna be a cardiologist, but then I decided I just can't handle the pressure of having someone's life in my hand. But I do enjoy helping people. That's also why I like doing what I do. At the end of the day, is like, I'm not a big director, but I still end up on pretty big sets. I don't have a lot of following, but I say it's mainly because I help people. I'm a big team player. I like helping people bring visions to life. I enjoy just collaborating, and I enjoy even so, like growing up, I took childcare courses, so I will go to schools and I'll help them, and I just enjoy. I feel like the best way to impact the next generation is by getting in their face when they're young, and then helping instill ideals that they may not be exposed to, and even if they are, it may be too late. Maybe they're so stuck into these past ideals that they become oblivious to any other way. So I feel like that's the better way, especially with arts. I feel like nowadays there's no better time to get into the arts, and I feel like these kids, they're just sponges now, and as technology advances, these kids are getting smarter. So I feel like me going back to become a teacher, it will be a good way to do that. Also, everyone I know who's like an OG to me in my career, they make their money off producing the younger ones, so there ain't no other way than to get acquainted with the younger generation, because at the end of the day, it's like you help them make their dreams, and then they help you, they help take care of you. For me, present internet, dang, that's a good question. I feel like right now, technically it's Elon, just because he technically does on Twitter, and Twitter is like the main thing. We get all of our memes from Twitter, if not TikTok, but TikTok's owned by China. But I would say Elon. Right now he's running things on Twitter. But if I had to say who has the best impact regarding like social media wise, I don't think there's like one person. I feel like it's kind of like a Senate situation. They have like, you got Kim K, you got Kanye. Like it just depends. Who are the most top like influential people at the time. Like Taylor Swift barely posts anything, but when she does something that isn't work related, people listen. Same thing with Selena Gomez or Justin Bieber. I feel like it's not really like a president situation. I feel like it's more of a council situation. I would say be respectful of others, because I feel like people, they don't take into account that at the end of the day is like we all live different paths, we all have different lives, and we all may have a certain way of doing things. And at the end of the day, it's like as long as someone's morally correct, they could just do whatever they want, man. At the end of the day, it's like I'm friends with Christians, and I'm also friends with Satanists. I'm okay with cis people. I'm okay with LGBTQ community. At the end of the day, it's like as long as we all respect each other's and we all know each other's boundaries, everything's fine, bro. At the end of the day, it's like me going my own. Like I like production work, but I grown to love running guns. I do both. At the end of the day, it's like you kind of just, as long as people are good people, you just work with them, and that's just for anything, business, relationships, family. Family isn't defined by blood, it's defined by just the people who care for you and are there for you the most. Take cholesterol seriously. I weigh under 200 pounds. I'm not a fat kid, but I have really high cholesterol, so watch what you eat because it will bite you in the ass.